Yesterday, or was it today? I don't even know. It was yesterday that they read the Constitution in Congress. It was today? Read the Constitution in Congress. And it was, no, it was, they edited the Constitution, not for time, but because they didn't want to offend anyone. And parts of it were outdated. You got to be kidding me. This we're getting from the Republicans. Parts of it are outdated, and parts of it are offensive. The 3/5 clause was offensive, and so they didn't do it. This shows such a either lack of understanding of our history, who the founders were, what the Constitution says, or it is just cowardice in Washington. 3/5 clause. African Americans, 3/5 in the South, 3/5 of a human being. That's an outrage, unless you know why they put that in there. They put that in there because if slaves in the South were counted as full human beings, they could never abolish slavery. They would never be able to do it. It was a time bomb. Progressives should love that. It was a way to take a step to abolish slavery. It is a tremendous story about our founders, about the genius of the Constitution, but that might offend some people, so they skipped it. They skipped it. That's offensive to me. This is Huckleberry Finn. Huckleberry Finn. I have a publishing company, and I work with Simon & Schuster, largest publishing house in the world. And I've had conversations with them, and the whole publishing industry is concerned about the classics, because the classics have always been about 18% of publishing's business. Always, 18%, flat, always. Now it's about 11. Something's happening. Nobody's reading classics anymore. Is there nothing to be learned from the adventures of Huckleberry Finn? If there's nothing to be learned from the Great Gatsby? Well, I have a theory. Huckleberry Finn is now being censored. They are removing the N-word, which is offensive, and the word Injun. Not with an E, with an I. Injun. Okay. If you just open up Huckleberry Finn, you will see the N-word in here a lot. It is, let's see, I have it written down here. It is 219 times the N-word is in here. It's hard to read with that in there. And the word Injun. Well, let's just start with a couple of things. Injun. It's not politically incorrect to call people an Indian. It's just incorrect. They're not Indians, they're Native Americans. Why? Why did we call them Indians? Because Columbus, the world was so vast at the time, people were in such darkness at the time, that he thought he landed in the Indies. Indians. He was wrong. Now, if you take the word Injun, out of this book, I no longer have the conversation with my son or my daughter about Indians. My son, I know, would say, "What's an Injun, Dad?" It's an Indian. It's a Native American. And I get to explain. And they get to see history. And they see the mistakes of the past. In that case, the mistake of Columbus. Miscasting people because he wasn't where he thought he was. It's not politically incorrect, it's just incorrect. The N-word. 219 times in this book. Have you ever heard of this guy? Is it Nas or Naz? I'm sorry to be the most unhip guy in the world, but I don't listen to rap music, I'm sorry. Especially the one with a gun on it. There's one song on this CD, and it's fantastic. It's 47 times. 47 times the N-word you will hear. 47 times, on average, you will hear this. Every 4 seconds, the N-word is sung. It's great. It's great. So if I listen to this song 5 times, I will hear the N-word 235 times, which is 16 times more than if I read this. This is American Literature by Mark Twain. This is a rap, but don't forget, this we can't have our children read, or we have to edit it, but this is fine. In fact, the president, do we have the audio of the president? Here's the full screen. Bring it up on the full screen, please. Here's the president. What's on your iPod, Mr. President? What's there? You don't have to show it. It's this. It's this. Jay-Z used to be sort of predominated. Now I got a little Nas, little Wayne, and other stuff. Can't claim to be an expert. Blah, 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 blah. His children are now getting old. Old enough where they start hipping me to things. So his children are hipping him to this. But is his children hipping him to this? This allows us to see our scars. This allows us to see the problems. This allows us to see where we come. This allows us to teach our children. This allows us to recognize us. This allows us to sing that word. This allows us to understand it. Okay, now how am I tying this to the Constitution and to the mouse and the motorcycle? I'll go there next. Congress read the Constitution today, and I'll bet it's the first time for a lot of congressmen and senators. They read it, but they left out 2 really important things. One, the 3/5 clause, which I just explained. If you find that offensive, you're ignorant. Do your homework. What does it mean? Why did they do it? They did it as a ticking time bomb to slavery. But they didn't want to offend anybody with that, which shows their cowardice for not reading it. But then they left out something else. They didn't read the 18th Amendment. What is the 18th Amendment? The 18th Amendment is prohibition. But they left in the 21st Amendment, which is, hey, everyone can drink. So the question that you would have, if you read this and you left in the 3/5 clause, you would either be offended or you would say, why is that there? You would ask this question, why? But by taking it out, we don't ask that question. However, hopefully, somebody asked, why does it say we can now drink? Because this amendment isn't there, the 18th. So all of a sudden it just goes along and it's like, oh, by the way, everybody can drink. When did it say anywhere in here that we didn't drink? Oh yeah, we'd have to read this too, the 18th Amendment. Why did we do the 18th Amendment? Who did the 18th Amendment? See, this document is great for one reason. They left in the scars. They don't take it away. The genius of the founders, they left the amendment in. You want to repeal it? You have to do it later. Leaving this in. Why? To see the scars, the errors of your way from the past. But if we take the past away, we learn nothing, which leads us to what? Oh, E4. I'll show you how entrepreneurship and this tie together next.